Hey everyone, I'm Manero here, and welcome to the 4th week of Brushtober 2021, an October event where I create a Procreate set with 31 brushes that is going to be entirely free for all my customers. If you want to know how you can get it, check out the info in the description below, or watch the first video in this series for all the details. In this video, we're going to have a look at the 7 brushes I created this week, so let's jump right into it. For day 17, I came up with this experimental inking brush that I called Ghost Brushstroke, that seems to randomly leave a ghostly trail and allows for a very organic line work. For this illustration, I borrowed inspiration from this super cool photo referenced by Feria Ansom. Following with the spooky topic that is so appropriate during this month, I wanted to draw some kind of undead creature with a very heavy ink line treatment. I was surprised by how enjoyable this brush turned out. The strokes you can make with it feel extremely organic, to the point that you stop caring to do perfect lines. This gives you an incredible freeing sensation that feels very nice. Something else this brush has that makes it unique is that ghostly trail I was talking about before. It shows up randomly depending on how much you tilt the Apple Pencil, which helps your drawing to seem like it was done with real ink on paper. If you like this kind of treatment, I'm sure you are going to love this one. For day 18, I made this interesting brush that heavily plays with randomness and edges. While I was creating it, I thought it would be super cool for making painterly but yet very graphic illustrations. I called this brush Playful Edges. I thought the best way to test the possibilities of this brush was to try making a very graphic portrait. For that, I found this super cute and delicate photo referenced by Karina Tess. This brush is so versatile that despite being very random in shape and texture, it still allowed me to lower the size enough to lay down a basic sketch before painting. I also liked how you can make this brush really big and tap in the canvas to get a super graphic and random texture like the one you can slightly see in the simple background I did. I thought it would be nice to define some of the edges of this portrait by using some bold and basic line work, while doing everything else in a very painterly style. Using this very same brush with the smudge tool allowed me to make soft transitions where I needed them, like in the face area, to achieve that delicateness of the original picture, defining some of the individual hair strands here and there by using a small size with this brush was also a nice move. I think this brush is perfect for simple but yet very expressive illustrations. I really like it. For day 19, I wanted to work on a brush that would be a good one for coloring comics. For that, I wanted it to have some texture, but not very obvious, and have easy to control opacity and blending capabilities. I think I achieved it, but let's try it out in a real example. I called this brush Silky Coloring. Before coloring anything, I needed to have a line art drawing, so I started there. Using the same brush, I improvised an anthropomorphic comic character of a tiger with a human body. While this brush wasn't made for line art or inking, it still allowed me to do the job very decently. When I had the line art finished, I could then start to color the character. What I love the most about this brush for coloring is how smooth and responsive it is. It really feels very natural to place colors exactly where you want them, and then mix the colors by simply lowering the pressure of your stroke to make one color blend into the other. It is also possible to blend colors with the smudge tool as well. You can create hard edge strokes too, just by pressing hard. I don't know if this could be the ultimate brush for coloring comics or not. It probably will depend on your preferences, but I think it is really good at it. For day 20, I made a brush using a nice texture of a wall from a picture I took in a recent trip. I think it is ideal for painterly style illustrations where there is some texture, but it is very subtle. I called this brush Old Town Wall. For this illustration, I used this photo by Malif D. Karunarath for reference. I thought it would be cool to make an illustration in the style of those classic sci-fi video game covers from the 80s, or something similar. I believe the softness in the texture of this brush really helped to achieve that. It has a similar quality to sandpaper. I love how you can lay down layers of color, and they blend with each other very naturally. You can also use a smaller size of the brush in those places where you need to define harder edges, or go big where you want to cover big areas with color, or just mix colors or make grainy color transitions. Using a small size of the brush also allows you to add those small details that wouldn't be possible otherwise. I really enjoyed how this brush and illustration turned out. For day 21, I came up with this brush that could fit perfectly with comics like Fritz the Cat or some others from that era. It's an inking brush with a very scratchy look that I find very interesting. I called this brush Underground Comics. I wanted to draw one of my stupid looking animal characters, and I thought a weird flamingo with huge floating eyebrows and sunglasses would do. There's something incredibly organic about this brush. The strokes leave this super cool and rough texture everywhere, like a pen that has the tip a little messed up. You can easily control the size of the lines by adjusting the pressure you apply with the Apple Pencil. Usually with thinner strokes you will get less messy texture, and the opposite will happen when doing thicker lines. Basically, you have a lot of control over how much random texture you want. This brush is also great for doing some manual cross-hatching that really fits the style of typical underground comics. You can even use the same brush for laying down some quick coloring, with a really rough texture in the edges, which also fits great with the style I was going for. Another versatile brush for your collection. For day 22, I worked on this brush that reminded me of the grain you could find on very old TVs whenever you would tune in a channel with no signal. I thought it would be interesting to explore what type of art this brush would suggest me. I called this brush Old TV Grain. For this illustration, I used this beautiful photo referenced by Grayson Thomas. While I was painting this, I was really liking the feeling of this grainy texture. Colors blend nicely and you can have more or less texture depending on the tool you use. For example, you can just use the paint tool for a very grainy texture, but then you can use the smudge tool for blending colors but also softening some of that grain. Using this brush with a small size reminded me of a good colored pencil. Once you have defined the main shape of your elements, blocking the alpha in the layer makes it super easy to shade the different surfaces, add color, texture and so on. It was super fun to slowly build up the shapes, colors, lights and shadows in this cute deer, as well as working in the bottom part of the background. I think of all the brushes I made this week, this is my favorite. Lastly, for day 23, I made this Toothy inking brush that I think it's a lot of fun to use. With runny inking brushes happens something similar to rake brushes as I mentioned in my second video of this series. You can always make a new one and get totally different results, because runny inking brushes can look so different from each other. I called this brush Grumpy Pen. Continuing with the animal theme, I had a lot of fun when I drew that tiger character in a suit, so I wanted to try again with an eagle this time. I love it when an inking brush is so rough that you can also use it for doing a quick sketch before inking, and it just feels right. I really like the toothy look you can get in your lines with this brush. I don't have much else to say about this one in particular, except that I had a blast with it, so enjoy the rest of the time lapse. And that's it for today. These are the 7 brushes I did this week for my Brushtober challenge 2021. Let me know in the comments below which of the brushes was your favorite from this batch. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss the last video in this series next week. And please know that I always appreciate your thumbs ups. Also make sure to check out my Gumroad page and consider purchasing something before the end of October to get this unique brush set for free. I have tons of Procreate brush sets available and I'm sure something will suit your artistic needs. All the links are in the description below. Okay, thank you for watching. See you next time.